Okay, today we're going to try to make cinnamon buns. Now, I'm an amateur from every measurable metric. I've made a bread twice in my life, but I'm going to exclusively use sourdough starter. I have this guy right here who has been maturing for some time. It's been, I think, about 2 weeks, but I don't think my starter is that strong because I fed it yesterday. I don't know if you can see this line, and it's only grown about 25%. Ideally, it should be more than that, but I think we have a lot of bubbling activity going on, so I'm just going to use this and ferment the bread a little bit more. We'll see how it goes. Yes. Okay, so we're starting with half a cup of active sourdough starter with 2 tablespoons of warm water and half a cup of warm milk. Mix that in and add half a cup of flour. Go crazy, use any flour you want, experiment, make it yours, but your results will vary, most certainly, depending on it. Since this is a sweet recipe, I'm going to stick with the norm and use all-purpose unbleached flour. I don't have a stand mixer or a hand mixer with a dough attachment, so I'm going to use the human mixer, which is my hands, if that wasn't clear. Keep mixing and kneading until it starts to pull away from the bowl, just a bit. Now we're going to rest this for about 20 to 30 minutes and then add the more decadent ingredients. Okay, 30 minutes are up. Now we're going to add the rest of the ingredients. We got a 1/4 cup of melted butter, 1 whole egg, a teaspoon of salt, and 2 tablespoons of sugar. Give that a nice mix. Make sure the egg, the sugar, the salt, everything is nice and mixed together so that when we now add the next round of flour, it will have a better chance to incorporate with the whole thing instead of having clumps of, egg and butter everywhere. Now let's add the rest of the flour. Now for me, the idea is to make it a nice dough. It took me about 1.5 cups for this mixture. Your results may vary based upon how liquidy your original mixture was, but idea is to get it into a nice dough ball. So keep adding, keep mixing a little by little. I was adding about 1/2 cup each time. That's a 1/2 cup measure I'm using. Just keep going, keep mixing until you get a nice dough ball. That's right. Still kneading. Still kneading. There. Now that looks like a nice dough ball. It's not sticking to the bowl. It's not sticking to the back of my hand. Perfect. Now it's done. Okay, so now we're going to transfer it to a nice clean bowl. I've greased that bowl with a little bit of butter so that it doesn't stick. We're going to shape it a little bit and then transfer it to that new bowl. Now the new bowl is merely to avoid getting any of that gunk at the bottom of this bowl, but you could very well just wash this one and grease it and then use the same bowl. Now transfer to the new bowl, give it some nice love, let it rest, say goodnight, and let it rest for another 30 minutes. You're going to do a few set of stretch and folds to this one. So 30 minutes, wait 30 minutes, do a stretch and fold, wait 30 minutes, do a stretch and fold. We're going to do that for about 3 to 4 times. Okay, 30 minutes later, time for our first set of stretch and folds. The idea is just to pinch one side of the dough, wet your hand a bit so that it doesn't stick to you, and pull that away from the bowl in an upward motion, and then flop it back onto the dough, and do it for, let's say, all the four sides of the dough. And that's it. Leave it for another 30 minutes and then we'll do another set of stretch and folds. Second round of stretch and folds, do the exact same way, no difference in method. Wet your hand, pull the dough from four sides and flop it onto itself. Minutes later, another set of stretch and folds. Number 3. Now you could do a couple more stretch and folds, but I decided this was good enough for this dough. Now it's time to do the final prep and shaping. Flour your work surface and put the dough on it. You're going to need a rolling pin for this one. Roll it into about a 1/4 inch or 1/2 inch thick sheet. Preference is up to you. The thinner the sheet, the more swirls you'll get. If you go too thin, your dough will break once we add the sugar mixture to it. Once you roll to your heart's content, you want to make sure that the dough is sticky enough for our sugar mixture to stick nicely to it. Beat 1 egg and use a silicone brush to slather it onto the sheet nicely, coating the entire surface. Now for the sugar mixture, take 1/2 cup of sugar. Brown sugar is preferred, but I only had regular granulated white sugar, so I just used that. Add a tablespoon of cinnamon to it. You can vary this depending on how much cinnamon you like. A tablespoon is about right for this much amount of sugar. To add some extra flavor, you could add a teaspoon of nutmeg powder. It adds a nice smokiness to the mixture. Sprinkle the sugar mixture as evenly as possible, leaving about an inch gap from all sides, allowing us to seal up the roll. Now starting on the bottom side, you want to really carefully, very tightly start rolling up. What you could do is pull towards you and stretch it a bit and then roll it so that it doesn't have any gaps when we roll the entire log into its place. Seal the edges from the bottom. The ends are okay, we're going to cut them off anyways because they don't have the sugar mixture on them, and we purposefully did that because we did not make this a rectangular piece, so the edges are going to be a little weirdly shaped, so we're just going to discard them for now. We are probably still going to bake them, but they're not going to be as good looking as the cinnamon rolls. Now let's prepare our baking sheet. Take some unsalted butter or any unflavored oil and very thoroughly but very lightly grease your pan entirely, even the edges, because our cinnamon rolls are going to expand and touch the edges, so we want it all nice and greased, ready to bake. Now take a sharp serrated knife and make even cuts. The thickness might depend on your baking sheet height, but I'm making about 1.5 inches thick cinnamon rolls, and just place them on the baking sheet, not exactly touching each other because they are going to expand a little bit later, but close enough that they can expand into each other and make a nice cinnamon roll sheet, if you will. Now I haven't forgotten about the ends. They might be the runt of the litter, but I am going to still bake them. Just cut them up and place them in. I mainly want to use these just as a sweet bread, and also to judge how well the dough expands and how well it bakes. So I'm just going to cover it with some plastic wrap and then proof it overnight in the fridge.
Good morning. It's the next day. Take your buns out of the fridge. Set your oven to the lowest temperature it can go. Mine can do about 100 degrees Fahrenheit, but don't go any higher. And place your cover tray inside the oven to proof. Now, depending on the strength of your starter, this can take anywhere from 40 minutes to a few hours. Give it time. Your buns should be visibly expanded. That's when you know you're ready. Don't rush it. Now while that's proofing, take a quarter cup unsalted room temperature butter, mix in 4 tablespoons of powdered sugar and a dash of vanilla extract. Give that a good mix, taste and adjust accordingly. Once your buns have proofed, i.e. expanded, set your oven to 375 degrees Fahrenheit for about 30 minutes or until golden brown. These still need about 4 or 5 minutes. When they're done, while hot, put a small dollop of your butter mixture over each of the bun and let it cool to room temperature. And that's it. Enjoy your delicious cinnamony buns. Now, to be completely honest with you, the ones I made kind of failed. They look good and they taste fine, but they just haven't expanded. They're more of a very dense biscuit type bread than a fluffy cinnamon bun. It's either to do something with my starter or the amount of time I gave it for proofing, but that's beside the point. I have seen so many videos on how to make sourdough bread, things with sourdough in general, and I still failed on my first try to make sourdough cinnamon buns. And that's perfectly okay. I'd rather take you on a journey I went through and learn from my mistakes instead of giving you the illusion that anyone can make great things overnight. Go easy on yourself, make mistakes, learn from them, and you will get better over time. Stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you around.